Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Go Simcha, the podcast. Today, we are going back to taking a little blast from the past here again. Last week, we had Schlock Rock, and this week, we have another fan favorite, another blast from the past, at least my childhood. I don't know about you guys. We have Uncle Moishy here in person. Well, not really in person. Uncle Moishy here on the show with us. We actually got this one as a video this week. It's going to be really exciting. And I'm like super pumped to sit down and talk with Uncle Moishy, pick his brain, and learn all about Uncle Moishy and how he got started and the legacy of Uncle Moishy. So pleasure to have you on the show, Uncle Moishy. If that is your real name, might I ask, what is your real name? And are you really an uncle? Are you a Zaidi? Are you? Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Zisha. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Amazing.
Uncle Moishy. My name is Moishy Tannenbaum.
Oh, very cool.
That's right.
Did your hat change? You used to have a Knight hat. It looks like you have a Hamburg today.
That's right. It's a Hamburg. Yeah, it's always been a Hamburg. That's right.
Oh, well, cool.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. I have a similar hat of my own, but it doesn't have a mem on it. I have a Bieber hat, but it doesn't have a mem on it. But nonetheless, some people think it's cool. So let's talk about this. How did you start? What's the story behind Uncle Moishy? That's what I want to know. That's what all our listeners want to know. What's the story behind Uncle Moishy? How did this all come to be? And where we are today?
It really goes back quite a few years.
Oh, wow.
Quite a few years. I'm from Toronto, Canada, originally, and I went to Cheder there called Eitz Chaim schools.
Oh, I know Eitz
And
Chaim.
I had a wonderful Rebbe, Rabbi Glukowski, Rebbe Yankov Glukowski, just a wonderful, wonderful Rebbe to me. And his wife was a preschool teacher in Eitz Chaim, and she encouraged me to sing to the children. I was always a singer. I always played an instrument. I've taught myself guitar, and I always played in front of my friends and kumsitzes and Motzei Shabbos, and wherever we got together. And she encouraged me to play for her children during lunchtime, and I really, really did not want to do that. And well, she did have a guitar, and she said, "Moish, please come play, sing Hashem is here," maybe even Torah Tziva, which those songs are classic songs. Was made in the early 60s. And I'm talking about, this is I would imagine the mid-60s, late 60s we're talking about. And I did. I sang Hashem is here to the children in the lunchroom, and they liked it a lot. And that sort of encouraged me to continue with this. It really opened me up to the possibility of singing a song, Hashem is here, or even Torah Tziva, to children, and getting those messages across to these children.
Well, did you ever think that you're going to make a career out of this, or you thought this is just shtick, we're just having fun messing around in the lunchroom, making some kids happy? You ever thought this would come to something bigger than?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's certainly a hobby of mine, playing in front of my friends, as I mentioned before, and singing songs of Torah and then the mitzvahs, and growing up with with my idols, you might say, in those times was the Rabbi Sons, the Or Chodosh. I know I'm dropping names years back, but those were the songs that I've listened to. And I've modeled my music learning with the way they strummed the instruments, the guitars, and the way they sang. I really modeled myself with them.
That's really cool. So what happened? So you started playing in the lunchrooms, and once you got past the smaller audiences of the Cheder crowd, what happened? What took it to the next level? What brought Uncle Moishy to the next level and brought about the name Uncle Moishy and the synonymous, the hat and the character and everything? Like, how'd that all happen?
Well, in Toronto, once again, there was a well-known person, Rabbi Yeshua Laufer, who was the Chabad Shaliach in Toronto. He's now in Providence, Rhode Island. And I volunteered a lot for Chabad in Toronto. They had programs for children, and I was encouraged to sing and play for the children. And they had rallies. I was there as well, singing to the children. And in 1975, there was a Fabrengen that Lubavitcher Rebbe had given.
Hmm.
and he encouraged the people to start using our Jewish names. So Rabbi Laufer one Sunday afternoon sat down with me and said, Moish, we have to start using your Jewish name, Uncle Moishy. And that's how it came, Uncle Moishy.
Wow.
The uncle came years before. My Rebbe, once again, Rabbi Bukowski, had gave me a nickname in class, and they called me Uncle, Uncle Milty. My non-Jewish name is Milton, and
You look
Milty,
like a Milton.
Uncle Milty, was a comedian in the late 50s, in the 50s, early 60s, Uncle Milton Berle, and his nickname was Uncle Milty, and I was always the funny person in class, and I was more or less the school, the hall monitor, more or
Hmm.
less more hall than in the classroom. But nevertheless, that was my nickname throughout those early years in school. And hence, in 1975, Rabbi Laufer suggested I start using my Jewish name as Uncle Moishy.
Nice.
And that's where it came.
That's really cool. So are you a Chabadnik? Because I mean, I always kind of assumed that Uncle Moishy, because you were always performing with as part of like the rallies and the different things like that. I always thought Uncle Moishy was a character created by Lubavitch. Um, Asking honestly, but are you yourself Lubavitch, or you just happen to hang out with them?
Well, as the phrase goes, I'm a Pasha Yid.
Ah, Azai. Well, ask
You
him.
know, certainly my heart is in the aspect of reaching out to children, specifically children, because they're so impressionable and they get so excited through song and funny antics. And this is where I could utilize that and get the message of Torah and the mitzvahs to these children. And that really spreads throughout the whole spectrum of Yiddishkeit, from Hasidic to non-Hasidic to observant or not observant yet.
Oh, for
All the
sure.
children, we all sing the songs, we all laugh, we could all dance, we clap our hands.
Oh, for sure. Everybody, I mean, because everybody knows Uncle Moishy. I mean, like I said, when I was growing up, everybody and anybody was listening to your songs. I remember when you used to come to town. I'm from Detroit. So I remember when you used to come to town, do some of the shows over there. I would sit there, I'd be clapping along, singing happy. It was great. How did the whole thing evolve? Like you started doing the rallies, you started doing the different things, different children's programs. So then what ultimately happened that took you to become where you are today? Like what was the thing that projected you into Uncle Moishy and Uncle Moishy's world, that we know today? Because I see that you do a lot of shows, you do a lot of traveling, you're all over the country, you're out of the country too. I was actually speaking with a friend of mine over Shabbos, and his father was telling me about the time Uncle Moishy came to Leeds,
Uh-huh.
and how that when my friend was little, his father kept taunting him and saying, if you don't behave, Uncle Moishy's not going to come for Shabbos. And he said, yeah, right, Uncle Moishy's not going to come for Shabbos. And then all of a sudden the doorbell rings right before Shabbos, and there's Uncle Moishy standing in front of the door. Big smile on my friend's face. But no, so my question is, like, it seems like you've gone all over the place, spreading your music, spreading your message to people, all across the world. So how did that end up happening? Like from going from this Pasha Yid in Canada to being the character that we all know and love. What was that journey, and what trials and tribulations did you experience over that journey? Because you've been doing this for how many years already?
Well, it's been since 1975.
Wow.
And in 1979, the first album was created.
Mm.
And in that album was some classic songs like Hashem is Here, Torah Tziva, I Have a Mezuzah, Shabbos is Going Away was a very popular song sung in NCSY.
Mm-hmm.
As Shabbos ebbs away, all the children would sing Shabbos is Going Away with a beautiful, beautiful, haunting melody. And this was all put on that first album. And Baruch Hashem was very successful. And from there, people have been calling me for concerts and appearances, which literally has taken me around the world. And I've seen thousands of children. And the, what's so interesting about the main thread with all these children around the world is the Torah. It's just amazing. I could be in Hong Kong, which I have been, Australia,
Oh, wow.
over Europe, in Canada, in Eretz Yisrael, and Torah is the central theme, and it's just amazing to see it's the same Torah wherever we go, the same Siddur wherever we go. It's just so amazing, and that is really makes us a family, really a family to enjoy.
Oh, that's really cool. That is really cool. The fact that you've gone all over the world and seen all these different places and played all these different places, but the bottom line is the Torah is what's keeping us together. That's really cool. What kind of stuff have you been working on recently? What's in the works with Uncle Moishy recently? What do we got going on for Uncle Moishy now?
Well, there's one thing doing these concerts and seeing these children for so many years. We've grown up. We've gotten older, perhaps a bit more sophisticated as the years has gone by. And I wanted really to take it to another level. And the level I really wanted to take it is more of a bigger sound, the big band type of sound, almost like, dare I say, a Disney-like style. And this is really where it's taking me to this latest album.
Oh,
It's called Uncle Moishy's Welcome. And I have it right here. It's the Welcome album. And it's really welcoming the children to perhaps the next step. As I mentioned before, it's the big sound, the big orchestration. And it's Baruch Hashem, it's met with wonderful, wonderful successes. And I'm so glad about that.
that's great. That's really cool that you've taken this into a different direction and into a bigger direction and broadened the horizons of Uncle Moishy. My question to you is, what was one of your favorite songs you ever performed? Because you got a lot of them, and I mean, I have a few favorites of my own. But
oh, really?
Yes,
May I hear yours?
I'm a big fan of the pizza song, and watching that video, it's just very funny because it's very old. It's like I don't know how old the video is. It looks like it's from the '80s, but it was just very funny, and that happens to be my favorite song, and it kind of stick. My kids like that one too, and they always sing it, and it sometimes it drives me nuts, but it's great. Every time we have pizza, my kids are always singing the pizza song. But what are some of your favorite songs? What are some of your favorite albums that you worked on that really gave you a lasting impression and you're like, this feels great, this is awesome? And because I'm assuming you've definitely over the years you've had some favorite songs, some songs that have stuck out in your head.
Well, I like the ballads, the slower songs. And the words of these ballads really resonates with me. And on this latest album that I have, there's a ballad. It's called Achtos. And it's really resonates with me. And the idea of what I mentioned earlier, how we all have that one thing that keeps us all together. And that is the Torah. That is the mitzvahs. And this song Achdos really, which means together, united us. And to me, this particular song is really, it's very much hits home to me. And this is what I've been striving for and reaching out to the children, that we do have that Achdos. We do have it by participating in mitzvahs, coming closer to Hashem, sharing with our friends, and trying to learn the Torah, one letter at a time.
Wow, that's really deep. That's really deep. What so this album you really think is you feel like this is one of your best albums you ever put out, like in terms of the music and in terms of the songs? How many songs are on this album? How many tracks you have recorded on this album?
There's about 10 songs.
Okay.
And each one is as of course, very, very special. And I've asked some very popular musicians and lyricists to help me with this album.
Oh,
Such wonderful, wonderful person like Dina Storch, and there's a Malky Ginniger, and there's even music done by Yossi Green,
oh,
who is very, very well known.
yeah. Yossi's actually supposed to be on our show this week too.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, please say hi for me.
Oh, I will. I was actually just speaking with Yossi earlier today because we've been back and forth trying to get him on the show. He just released a new album. I'm sure you saw, and so we're trying to get him on the show as well. I will definitely send regards from Uncle Moishy.
Thank you.
I will definitely send regards from Uncle Moishy. So wow, so you've collaborated with a bunch of people on this album. So I'm looking forward to hearing it. Where can I pick it up?
Well, as they say, all major Jewish bookstores, popular ones, it's there. It's there at the counter, and it's yours to hear. Also, please join me on my website. It's called UncleMoishysWorld.com. And it's a wonderful website, once again, of course, for the children, but it's a very active website with things for the children to do. They could do the arts and crafts that's there. And they could actually print out their pictures that they colored. They could actually print them out. And there's puzzles and things about for Shabbos. And you could also hear some of the songs. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful website.
Okay, that's really cool. So I had another question for you. How did you come up with a lot of the different characters that have been like with you throughout the years and all the different like acts and things like that? Because I always remember, did you hear the news? Guess who's back in town? Uncle Moishy and the Mitzvah Men. Hooray! And so it's like, how did your mind come up with all this? You seem like a very creative person, and like especially when you're dealing with children's music and children's books and things like that, you have to be very creative and have a very active imagination because you're dealing with children and you want to be able to entertain them. So how did you come up with all this stuff and all this content and all these songs? Because again, I've been following you since I'm only 28. Mind you that I'm only 28, but I've been following you since I was a little kid. Actually, one of my friends even has played with you. He told me he played with you when you came to Detroit. He's a drummer, and so I've heard all the talk about Uncle Moishy. So like again, how did you come up with this stuff? Because I love when I talk to people like you, and when I talk to like Lenny Solomon, because you guys have been in the business for decades, and you guys again predate a lot of people, and so you've seen how music has progressed from the 70s until now. And so like how have you adapted how did you come up with your creativity, and how have you adapted it to go from the 70s until now?
Well, certainly music is very important, and what I have found out that besides the children listening to my albums, the parents are listening too. And they have to enjoy it as well because they hear it day in and day out, as you mentioned before.
Yes.
So the music has to be very good and enjoyable for them as well. And this was another reason why I came up with this newer album, the Welcome album, with this big band sound. It's about a 45-piece orchestra.
Wow.
For the music. So you can imagine the sound is just gorgeous. So when you hear a violin, it's a real violin. And the trumpet, it's a real trumpet. These are real, actual musicians playing the music. So the sound is just wonderful, wonderful. And parents enjoy it as well, and they should, because they're listening to it as well in the background. And as far as the songs are concerned, these are very simple mitzvos, things to do like sharing or manners, very important, making our brachos, right? Sure, making our brach before we eat food, and thanking Hashem for what he gives us every day. And even washing our hands for Natilas Yadayim. Before we eat bread, we wash our hands and we make a bracha on Natilas Yadayim. So these are all very, very simple concepts. And certainly in the shows that I do, I try to bring them alive by actions. So even though a child might not know the song per se, however, the actions is a lot of fun. It could be sharing the balloons as they throw the balloon around the room, or it could be a mitzvah train that we make. I go around the room making a mitzvah train with all the boys and girls following me in a train. And it could even be a funny man coming up and interrupting me during the show. And boys and girls, we don't interrupt someone while they're speaking. And we have this character where he actually interrupts me. And of course, he learns his lesson that we don't interrupt anyone who's speaking. So these are all very, very simple things that the boys and girls could learn. And there's one more thing I want to impress. And that when I do speak to the children, I never say you.
Why is that?
You do this. You do the mitzvahs of Hashem. You learn Torah. No. It's we. And I feel that's very, very important because I'm also included with the children. I also have to do the mitzvahs. I also have to learn Torah. I'm always included with the children. So if you do listen to when I speak to you during concerts, or even on my new album, you'll see and you'll be attuned to it that I always include myself with the children. And I think that's very important for an educator. When we speak to children, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, we have to do this. We have to learn Torah. We have to do the mitzvahs of Hashem. And for me, this I feel is very, very important for me.
Wow, that is a great lesson. That is a very, very, very great lesson. I sincerely have just learned something new, and very positive, and I thank you for that.
But because of that, if I'm including myself with the boys and girls, then I have to be an example.
You're the mashpia.
Has to be an example, and that's a responsibility. That's a responsibility. And I remember many times when people would come up to me, they would actually see me in the street or something, or talking to someone saying thank you as I leave. I had one person follow me out of a store and says, Moishy, Uncle Moishy, I know you're Uncle Moishy. And I was just wearing street clothing. And I know you're Uncle Moishy. How do you know that? Because when you left the salesperson, you said thank you and goodbye. And you had that manners. And now I know you're the real Uncle Moishy.
Wow.
So, but that's me. That's just me. But as you see, the responsibility, that's much greater for us as educators.
Right.
And
you've really given that positive hashpah on the people, on the children you're giving the shows to, and you've really taken that on yourself to live with that every single day, because people know who you are. Regardless if people know who you are, you still have to act, speak, act, and be a mensch. And that's really amazing. That's really, really amazing. And I wholeheartedly have learned something new today. I mean, we're always learning something new. But wow, that's really cool. What was I going to ask you? It's just so cool having you on the show. I'll be honest with you again. It's really cool to have you on the show. So what other things are in the works for Uncle Moishy? Like what other shows you got going on? What other things you doing to tour? What other any new characters you're working on building out? Anything like that?
Well, certainly now in the summertime we have the camps.
Right.
And after the 3 weeks that we had, and after the sad day of Tisha B'Av, I'm now going back to these camps, performing for the children, and now gearing up for Sukkot. Baruch Hashem, I'm booked all of Sukkot, and just ready to see all these children and to come with some new ideas, new characters, and along with some of these songs to bring them back and make them alive for the children. Bring it back to a stage with new ideas, new things for the children to do, and most importantly, for the children and for us to have fun. It's so important to have fun. And when we sing a song of Torah, a song of mitzvahs, we should have fun while doing that. And that's very important.
No, I agree 100%. So I noticed I was looking at your Instagram account the other day, because you keep liking our stuff and you keep like commenting on our stuff, which is really cool. I appreciate that. And I noticed that you do a lot of shows for like special needs camps and things like that, and different camps like that. So tell us a little bit more about that. Like I saw you were at HASC, I saw you were at a few other camps. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, certainly all the performers, we all visit Camp HASC, and these children are very, very special. And they're dear to me and to all of the performers. And we do put on a concert there. And it's just amazing to see the effects that the music has on these children. It's just amazing. The music and the words and them jumping up and down and spinning around and waving their hands and clapping. It's just amazing the effect it has on them. And as I've been told by various counselors, how it lasts long after you've left, Uncle Moishy. My campers are still singing your songs and they're still jumping up and down once they even hear your name, how it affects them. So it's something for me to recognize. And quite honestly, it's actually a highlight of my year to do a camp like that and to see these children and the effects that music have on these children is really a highlight of my whole year.
Wow, that's great. That's really, really amazing. So back to your shows. What was your favorite show of all time that you ever put on over the years? What was your favorite show? You've had, come on, you had to have one of your favorite performances you ever did.
Hmm. Hmm.
I like to watch, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. It's eBay. Let's see, this watch has a timer on it as well. So it's very important. And also worldwide time is very important. Well, I've been around the world. I've been to Hong Kong, Gibraltar as well. That's the tip of Spain. Also just a beautiful, beautiful community. And really each city, each country I've gone to is very special. I remember I did a show in Antwerp, that's in Belgium, and we had an interpreter. This woman, a preschool teacher, spoke Flemish, and that's what many of the children do speak, is Flemish. So even though the song still stays the same in English or in Hebrew, like Torah Tziva, yet when I speak and introduce the songs, she would translate it into Flemish. I did once a show in Panama. That's in, I believe, Central America. And there we had a preschool teacher speak to her children in Spanish.
Wow.
So the song stays the same. The shtick, the fun is still the same. But yet when I introduced the songs, it was translated into the language that they would know. In Toronto, Canada, of course, it's English. Very interesting thing, because with all the musicians that I have and the power that we generate, we sometimes have blackouts. And that's what we had in Toronto. I remember we had 1, 2, 3 blackouts within a span of just a few moments.
Wow.
Well, there's nothing you could really do without a blackout. So we basically called that first half, and we fixed up the electricity there in Toronto, and we had an intermission, and then we had one long second half of the show to complete it all. And Baruch Hashem, it went by very, very well, and the kids had a great time there.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Wow. So it seems like you've been all over the world. You've done shows in all sorts of different parts of the world and the country. You're still making music. You're still rocking and rolling. You're still inspiring children. Has anybody ever contacted you? Has anybody like ever contacted you who used to listen to you in the past and say, Uncle Moishy, you really made my day? Like, you ever get like fan mail from people? I'm assuming you get fan mail from people all the time.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. And I love these letters, and I keep them as well. They're very precious to me, that a person has his time to write a letter to me. It's very special. I do answer them too, sure. And I know sometimes when children come to my concerts and they're dressed up as me, with a shirt and a hat, with a mem, and smiling. We take a picture. And in a case like that, what I usually do is that if the parent sends me this photo, then I usually send them a gift from me. And I really appreciate the time that a child takes to put this on and come to my show and say hi to me. And sometimes when I'm standing on a stage, I notice a child, I even point out, oh, boys and girls, let's welcome Uncle Moishy. And the audience would stand up, it's me, Uncle Moishy.
That's great.
It's precious to me, and I do not take it for granted.
That's great.
Very, very special. Yeah.
Have you ever done any weddings? Anybody ever called you to do their wedding?
No. No, but sometimes if it's a good close friend of mine, I would make an appearance.
Oh, yeah?
That's yes, and I do have some costumes, people in costumes I would come bring along. And of course, this was all pre-arranged with the orchestra. And with the help of one of the Uncle Moishy songs, I would march in with the characters behind me in the middle and dance in a circle. And of course, stand behind the chassan and the kallah for a nice photo op.
That's great.
And it always makes it to their wedding book.
That's great. So you seem like you're still going. That's awesome. I have to give it to you. That's awesome. You're still going. You're still making music. You're still entertaining, inspiring, and trying to bring joy and simcha to children everywhere around the world. Again, Uncle Moishy, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on my show. I really learned a lot from you, both important lessons and just more about who Uncle Moishy is, besides from the guy with the beard and the hat and with the mem on his hat. I really got to know what you're all about and how you've been doing this for decades. And it's just amazing, truly inspiring. And we really appreciate you coming on the show. And again, Uncle Moishy's new album, Welcome, is out now. You can get it on his website, unclemoishysworld.com. You can check it out at all your local Judaica stores. Is there any other special gifts you have out there for our lovely listeners when they go ahead and get their copy of Uncle Moishy's new CD?
Oh, well, once you do enter my website, it has many things to view, and I do have a store.
Oh, cool!
A little keychain. This goes onto a key, and it's a good zipper pull for the children.
Very cool.
Wait, one more thing. It's a water bottle. Yeah, it's very very. Sure. Of course, we make our brachas when we drink water. Sure, we do. Of course. And I have something else. Sure. I'm glad you asked, Isha.
So how do I get one of those? How do I get one of those out here to Eretz Yisrael?
It's a T-shirt. Look at this. Wow, wait, look at that.
That's a nice shirt.
Sure. So come visit my website. There's a lot of fun things to do there. And say hi to me, please. Sure.
We will. So again, unclemoishysworld.com. You check it out. Everybody check out unclemoishysworld.com. You can go ahead and get his new CD. It sounds like it's going to be really cool. I'm actually going to go over there and try to listen to it. I'm interested in hearing the new sound of Uncle Moishy. And you can pick it up, like I said, any Judaica store, Uncle Moishy's website. You can give him a call directly. I'm sure he'll be happy to ship you out a CD. He'll be happy to say shalom to you. And again, it was an honor, a pleasure to have you on the show as part of our series of doing a blast from the past. And we look forward to hearing only good things from Uncle Moishy going forward in the future. You should have a lot of atzlacha with the new album and everything you're doing.